So we've been talking about this word glocally in the congregation, both at leadership levels and sprinkled around. And what it means to us is a church serving glocally means that we realize we have a neighborhood and we have a city and we have a country and we have a world. And so glocal is just a simple way to capture all of those relationships at once. And when we talk about serving people and walking with people, accompanying them, we are aware that what we do locally can have global impact, and what has global impact can affect us locally.
Augustana has provided several outlets where my entire family can participate together, and it's really helped me with my daughters, raising my daughters, and they see what we can do both locally and then, as we say here, glocally, both out in the bigger world. When we have fundraising things here for things like mosquito nets in Africa, at the same time we're growing food for people in Denver.
At Augustana, we talk about God's work, our hands, and I think that you think about who you're serving and what you're a part of, and for me being a part of Ansar, I feel like going there, and whether it's cleaning out the produce or filling the orders for people who come in, the ability to help them, and you come in and you think, you know, I'm doing this for me, and then you get there and you're not, and what you get from the people who you are serving is so much more inspiring, and so it builds me up so much more. And I think carrying groceries out to the car for someone, it means so much to me to be able to do that for them, and then it seems to mean a lot to them to have that care and respect.
Maybe this is a good time to mention the 500 years on the move for hunger, that we have set a very significant goal of $15,170, which of course is based on 1517, the year of the Reformation, as additional funds to collect for world hunger through tying it to, I guess, personal health, mental, physical, and spiritual health through activities of running, biking, swimming, exercising, meditation, volunteering with hunger organizations, all of which we convert to miles and then ask people to donate 10 cents a mile, $1 a mile, whatever, towards reaching the goal to exceed our usual amount of world hunger funds.
The congregation of Augustana has always been on the forefront of congregations that thinks about the problem of hunger in our community, but also in the rest of the world. And one of the emphases that our presiding bishop, Elizabeth Eaton, has asked us to think about this year and in previous years has been that we are a church for the sake of the world. And in a larger sense, then that means that we're part of a larger Christian movement that seeks to help those who are in need around the world, both in the short term, which the Lutheran Church is really good at in terms of disaster and hunger crises, to be there for people when they're in need, but also in the long term, to think about how do we work towards solutions to poverty and to hunger so that we can make a difference in the world as a church.
My heart is with the working class poor, and that's where I feel a lot of need is, and that we sometimes overlook it because people have jobs and they're trying, but I think that work and the ability to help people with food and to help their families with things that are basic needs, and then treat them with respect and dignity at that time, regardless of their circumstances in life, is something that I love doing. And I think at Augustana there are a lot of opportunities to help people in our community and to make our community stronger, and that's here in Denver, and I think across the world we do that by recognizing people's interests and recognizing people's needs and then meeting them right there and not expecting something of them, just what we're bringing to them and what we can offer. And I think that is just the most humbling experience.
I was raised as a Christian, and part of the Christian faith is giving back to people who don't have. To me, it's always been there. It's not a hip thing to do, it's what you do. It's in the Bible, it's in our preaching every Sunday, and that's what we do here. So in effect, a lot of these things I do at Augustana personally have led me to understand my faith a lot better, and not only do they make me feel good about doing them as a human being, They are what we should all be doing.
As I watch the congregation grow in their giving, it gives you a very warm feeling and a pleased feeling that people understand that they are God's hands in this world. There's so many opportunities for giving of not just money but time and abilities here to serve the Lord.
An outgrowth of some of our local involvement with different organizations and our global involvement, especially with ELCA World Hunger and Lutheran Disaster Relief, is the beginning of asking the question, why? Why are people hungry? Why are people struggling so much? Asking really deep questions of faith, asking deep questions of our connection between church and state, wrestling with those issues on behalf of people who may or may not have their own voice as it relates to their own dignity.
I think the people that are very passionate about this kind of service to the world really see themselves as part of the larger picture of the Christian church, that we're not called to be just within these walls at Augustana, and some people have the mistaken impression that that is what church is all about. And the piece I love about Augustana is that people really see themselves as being sent out into the world to make a difference in the world, and I think that is something that has enlivened and energized our congregation to see ourselves as being able to be that kind of a congregation that makes a difference for other people.
I think it's a perfect sort of balance between an accommodation between individuals' passion and what they're bringing to the church. I think that's what keeps churches feeling alive and modern and fresh. So I think bringing your own personal drive and your own personal interest to it is one way, but I think balancing that with, does that match our mission as a congregation, and does that match what we are learning in church on Sundays and in our Bible studies, and are these the same things? And I think what's really neat is that people's personal passion projects, as you read about them and talk with people, they all have an alignment that is really beautiful here, and I like that, because it's not we have to be here, it's that we want to be here, and that someone voices a concern about social justice, or someone voices an interest in being somewhere that demonstrates the love of your neighbor, and then people around respond to that and join in. And I think that that is how you know you should be there and how you know it's working. And I think there's a rich tradition and a rich history here that I like to be a part of. I like to know people who have been here for 20 years or longer, what is important to them, what they value. There's a respect for new and a respect for tradition that fits well, and I like that.
The connections that are formed when we spend time on deeper and heavier issues, those connections and those relationships that we form, and the laughter that we have, and the jokes that we tell, and the ways that we're able to grow and work together, that's a lot of fun. And it really adds to the energy and the vibrancy of a congregation that already over the course of over 100 years has shown itself to be resilient and strong, and to really live out this Christian freedom that we have so boldly into hard conversations and having fun together. Those things can happen at the same time.
There is always a place in our congregation for folks who want to serve in the world and want to show God's love to people at those moments where they might feel most unlovable, or perhaps most in despair because of a life situation that they're in. We'd love to have other people come and join with us in reaching out into the community and into the world.